The Keirsey Temperament Sorter is a self-assessed personality questionnaire designed to help people better understand themselves and others. It was first introduced in the book Please Understand Me. It is one of the most widely used personality assessments in the world, and its user base consists of major employers including Bank of America, Allstate, the U.S. Air Force, IBM, 7-Eleven, Safeco, AT&T, and Coca-Cola. The KTS is closely associated with the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. However, there are significant practical and theoretical differences between the two personality questionnaires and their associated different descriptions. Four Temperaments, David Keirsey expanded on the ancient study of temperament by Hippocrates and Plato. In his works, Keirsey used the names suggested by Plato: artisan, guardian, idealist, and rational. Keirsey divided the four temperaments into two categories, each with two types. The resulting 16 types correlate with the 16 personality types described by Briggs and Myers. Artisans are concrete and adaptable. Seeking stimulation and virtuosity, they are concerned with making an impact. Their greatest strength is tactics. They excel at troubleshooting, agility, and the manipulation of tools, instruments, and equipment. The two roles are as follows. Operators are the directive artisans. Their most developed intelligence operation is expediting. The attentive crafters and the expressive promoters are the two role variants. Entertainers are the informative artisans. Their most developed intelligence operation is improvising. The attentive composers and the expressive performers are the two role variants. Guardians are concrete and organized, scheduled. Seeking security and belonging, they are concerned with responsibility and duty. Their greatest strength is logistics. They excel at organizing, facilitating, checking, and supporting. The two roles are as follows. Administrators are the directive guardians. Their most developed intelligence operation is regulating. The attentive inspectors and the expressive supervisors are the two role variants. Conservators are the informative guardians. Their most developed intelligence operation is supporting. The attentive protectors and the expressive providers are the two role variants. Idealists are abstract and compassionate. Seeking meaning and significance, they are concerned with personal growth and finding their own unique identity. Their greatest strength is diplomacy. They excel at clarifying, individualizing, unifying, and inspiring. The two roles are as follows. Mentors are the directive idealists. Their most developed intelligence operation is developing. The attentive counselors and the expressive teachers are the two role variants. Advocates are the informative idealists. Their most developed intelligence operation is mediating. The attentive healers and the expressive champions are the two role variants. Rationals are abstract and objective. Seeking mastery and self-control, they are concerned with their own knowledge and competence. Their greatest strength is strategy. They excel in any kind of logical investigation such as engineering, conceptualizing, theorizing, and coordinating. The two roles are as follows. Coordinators are the directive rationals. Their most developed intelligence operation is arranging. The attentive masterminds and the expressive field marshals are the two role variants. Engineers are the informative rationals. Their most developed intelligence operation is constructing. The attentive architects and the expressive inventors are the two role variants. Understanding the sorter descriptions, although the descriptions of the individual temperaments and role variants were written as a whole, temperament itself can be understood by comparing it to the rings of a tree. The inner ring, abstract versus concrete. According to Keirsey, everyone can engage in both observation and introspection. When people touch objects, watch a basketball game, taste food, or otherwise perceive the world through their senses, they are observant. When people reflect and focus on their internal world, they are introspective. However, individuals cannot engage in observation and introspection at the same time. The extent to which people are more observant or introspective directly affects their behavior. People who are generally observant are more down to earth. They are more concrete in their worldview and tend to focus on practical matters such as food, shelter, and their immediate relationships. Carl Jung used the word sensation when describing people who prefer concrete perception. People who are generally introspective are more head in the clouds. They are more abstract in their worldview and tend to focus on global or theoretical issues such as equality or engineering. Carl Jung used the word intuition when describing people who prefer abstract conception. The second ring, cooperative versus pragmatic. Keirsey uses the words cooperative and pragmatic when comparing the differing temperaments. People who are cooperative pay more attention to other people's opinions and are more concerned with doing the right thing. People who are pragmatic pay more attention to their own thoughts or feelings and are more concerned with doing what works. There is no comparable idea of Myers or Jung that corresponds to this dichotomy, so this is a significant difference between Keirsey's work and that of Myers and Jung. This ring, in combination with the inner ring, determines a person's temperament. The pragmatic temperaments are rationals and artisans. The cooperative temperaments are idealists and guardians. Neither Myers nor Jung included the concept of temperament in their work. The third ring, directive versus informative. The third ring distinguishes between people who generally communicate by informing others versus people who generally communicate by directing others. Each of the four temperaments is subdivided by this distinction for a result of 8 roles. The directive roles are operators, administrators, mentors, and coordinators. The informative roles are entertainers, conservators, advocates, and engineers. The fourth ring, expressive versus attentive. The fourth ring describes how people interact with their environment. Individuals who prefer more overt action, saying and doing during covert acting, conception and perception are described as expressive, whereas people who prefer more covert acting during overt, or inactive action are described as attentive. Some associative words for expressive: active, chatty, conversant, effusive, fluent, profuse, verbose. Some associative words for attentive: alert, all eyes, all ears, aware, chary, circumspect, heedful, wary, watchful. The expressive versus attentive dichotomy is the most contextual. In other words, overt action is more dictated by the environmental circumstance at the moment. Each of the 8 categories can be subdivided by this distinction, for a total of 16 role variants. These 16 role variants correlate but do not correspond to the 16 Myers-Briggs types. The expressive role variants are promoters, performers, supervisors, providers, teachers, champions, field marshals, and inventors. The attentive role variants are crafters, composers, inspectors, protectors, counselors, healers, masterminds, and architects. For interaction roles, in his book Brains and Careers, Keirsey divided the role variants into groupings that he called 4 differing roles that people play in face-to-face interaction with one another. There are 2 proactive enterprising roles: initiators, field marshal, supervisor, promoter, teacher, preemptive, contenders, mastermind, inspector, crafter, counselor, competitive. There are 2 reactive inquiring roles: co-workers, inventor, provider, performer, champion, collaborative, responders, architect, protector, composer, healer, accommodative. The roles were implied in the informing directing factor introduced in Portraits of Temperament. In his 2010 follow-up book, Personology, co-workers is renamed collaborators, and responders is renamed accommodators, temperaments and intelligence types. The following table shows how the 4 rings relate to one another and to the various temperaments. Historical development. See also Historical development of theories of the 4 temperaments. Keirsey became familiar with the work of Ernst Kretschmer and William Sheldon after WWII in the late 1940s. Keirsey developed the temperament sorter after being introduced to the MBTI in 1956. Tracing the idea of temperament back to the ancient Greeks, Keirsey developed a modern temperament theory in his books Please Understand Me, Portraits of Temperament, Presidential Temperament, Please Understand Me Too, Brains and Careers, and Personology. The table below shows how Myers and Keirsey's types correspond to other temperament theories or constructs, dating from ancient times to the present day. Myers-Briggs types versus Keirsey's temperaments. The type descriptions of Isabel Myers differ from the character descriptions of David Keirsey in several important ways. Myers primarily focused on how people think and feel. Keirsey focused more on behavior, which is directly observable. Myers' descriptions use a linear four-factor model. Keirsey's descriptions use a systems field theory model. Myers, following Jung's lead, emphasized the extroversion-introversion dichotomy. Keirsey's model places greater importance on the sensing-intuition dichotomy. Myers grouped types by a Euro-function attitude is a Euro-unregistered trademark. Keirsey, by temperament. Myers grouped types according to cognitive function, the A-Euro-thinking type E-Euro-unregistered trademark grouping for those with dominant thinking. The A-Euro-intuitive type E-Euro-unregistered trademark grouping for those with dominant intuition. The A-Euro-feeling type E-Euro-unregistered trademark grouping for those with dominant feeling. And the A-Euro-sensing type E-Euro-unregistered trademark grouping for those with dominant sensing. Keirsey's temperaments correlate with Myers' combinations of preferences, guardians with sensing plus judging, artisans with sensing plus perceiving, idealists with intuition plus feeling, and rationals with intuition plus thinking. Myers paired ESTJs with ENTJs, ISFPs with INFPs, INTPs with ISTPs, and ENFJs with ESFJs because they share the same dominant function attitude. ESTJs and ENTJs are both extroverted thinkers, ISFPs and INFPs are both introverted feelers, INTPs and ISTPs are both introverted thinkers, and ENFJs and ESFJs are both extroverted feelers. Keirsey holds that these same groupings are very different from one another because they are of different temperaments. ESTJs are guardians whereas ENTJs are rationals. ISFPs are artisans whereas INFPs are idealists. INTPs are rationals whereas ISTPs are artisans. And ENFJs are idealists whereas ESFJs are guardians. See also, Analytical Psychology, Carl Jung, Ernst Kretschmer, 5 Temperaments, 4 Temperaments, Interaction Styles, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, Socionics, Temperament, References. External links, Keirsey Temperament website.